You are listening to the Dare to Love podcast with your hosts, Sonika Tinker and Christian Peterson, founders of LoveWorks. Hi, and welcome to the podcast. Today, I am going to be sharing tips and insights on how to make a woman happy and how to keep a woman happy. And remember, what I'll be sharing is based on, of course, everything I've learned and studied over the years, and it's also based on hundreds of conversations I've had with men and women. Some are couples in my office, some have come as individuals or singles, and the thousands of men and women who have all come to our relationship workshops. So over the last many years, we have garnered a lot of information about what works and what doesn't work. But before I say anything else, I want to offer a very big disclaimer. And I'm just going to get this out of the way right up front so I don't have to preface every statement with another disclaimer and, bore you to death with disclaimers. So here goes. Whenever we talk about what women like or what men like or how women think or how men think and so on, we're always generalizing. That means it's not true for everyone. It's a generalization. Granted, it might have been true for many people, but it might not be for you. If you're a woman listening, you might hear me say that women love this or that thing, and you might not relate to it at all. That's to be expected, and it's totally fine. Also, because I might say that women like this or that, it doesn't mean that men wouldn't also like that very same thing. As a very real example, you'll hear me say that women have a huge priority and desire for connection. But that does not mean that men don't also desire connection. I, for one, just speaking as this one man I'm speaking for here, I know I want that very much. But in contrast to my wife, Sonika, connection is not my primary desire, and I'm not nearly as motivated by it as she is, and as many other women are. So there's a difference. And also, as part of the disclaimer, I just want to say that I am speaking as a straight male in a monogamous relationship, married to a woman. So that is the vantage point that I'm speaking from. And something else you could know about me in this conversation is, you might find me a little old-fashioned, perhaps. But I am definitely one to think that chivalry isn't dead. I think it's a noble and valuable trait of human beings to be chivalrous, in this case, as a man towards my wife or towards women. I love that. I like it for me. I like the nobility and the pride that it brings out in me. And I love the act of service and appreciation that it is for her. So you might find me old-fashioned. I'm totally okay with that. So now let's dive in. This conversation, today's podcast, was actually inspired by, most recently it was inspired by a coaching conversation I was having with a man last week. And like I said, it's inspired by hundreds and hundreds of conversations, but most recently I was coaching this man last week. And he and his girlfriend were in a breakdown. And his girlfriend had said to him, "Well, why don't you convince me why we should be together?" And he said to her, as the logical, good-natured, speak the truth kind of man that he is, he said, "I don't think I should have to convince you. We should both want to be here because we like each other and because we choose to be here. And so, I don't think it's my job to convince you, frankly." That did not go over very well. As a matter of fact, it deepened the rift. She got mad and hurt, and the breakdown had just gotten worse instead of better. So, in matters of love and intimacy, when you're a man in relationship with a woman, much of the time you cannot expect to make success with your own way of thinking. In the example I just gave, my client's answer is a perfectly logical answer. I'd even agree with this sentiment that it isn't his job to convince her to be in relationship. I agree with the logical assessment that both people should be there by adult and mutual consent. And without going too deep into the differences between men and women, and there are many, trust me, let me just give you a great general principle when you're relating to your woman partner. Try to think not so much in terms of what is the right thing to do and what is logical or what makes sense. Rather, try to think in terms of what would open the situation up to more love and connection. What would open her heart more? What might open your heart more? What might put a smile on her face? Or how I say it in general is, what would open the situation up for more love and connection? That's a really useful rule of thumb. And I want this episode here to be practical, and the tips I share to be practical so you can actually go do them. So I'm going to do my best to make this usable, and wherever it's relevant, I'll include some background to deepen the understanding. The first tip I want to share is the one I just said as a general rule of thumb, to focus more on what would open the situation up to more love than on what is logical and accurate. Like this client I just mentioned in the example, who said, I don't think I should have to convince you, and so forth. What would have opened that situation up to more love is for him to say something like, I love you, honey. I know we've had some trouble, but I am here with you. I am here for you. I am here with you. And I want to be with you. I'm not letting you go. I know we can work this out somehow. Somehow you and me, we can work this out. When she says, convince me why we should be together, she's not really looking for a rational debate or a rational reason for why they should be together. She's looking for reassurance that he still likes her, that he still wants her, that he still loves her, that he still wants to be there. It's as if after every breakdown or disconnect, she needs to know if he will choose her all over again. Women really like feeling chosen, like you picked her out of all the other women you could have chosen. Of all the women in this world, you picked her, your partner. It is great for you to let her know that. So that's the second tip, is do your best to make her feel chosen and special. And there are many practical ways you can do that, is as simple as speaking compliments and acknowledgments, of saying things like, you look amazing today, or your eyes are shining like nobody's business today, or I really like so-and-so about you. Thank you for doing so-and-so. And another way to do it is, what you might call chivalry. Open doors, pull out a chair for her to sit down, carry her things for her. And I want to say that, when you do that, I don't take that. It's not a statement that I'm telling her that I don't think she can do it. That's a matter of course, that of course she can open her own door and pull out her own chair. It's more, I think of it more as a mark of honor and respect, as a way of me seeing, I see you, as a statement that says, I'm willing to go out of my way for you, to protect you even if I don't know you, to do something nice for you. I see you over there and I appreciate you. Third thing I want to share, third tip here, is to do your best to make her feel held. And some of you will immediately know what that means, to feel held. And some of you might not really understand that term. You can think of it in metaphorically. Feeling held is as if someone had their arms around her. You could imagine for yourself, if a strong, reliable person has their arms around you, you can relax. If it's someone you trust, you can relax into it and feel safe and held. And how you make someone, your woman partner in this case, feel held is, for example, you be present with her even when she's in an emotional upset. Like my client I mentioned before, instead of arguing reasonably and logically back or defending yourself, which you might at other times want to do, is you be present with her, even when she gets upset, mad, hurt, or just intense or intently happy about something. I know for one, it took me some serious practice, years, to feel comfortable in the face of a woman's emotionality, because for most women, at least the ones I've been with, and certainly it is true for my wife, have a much bigger range and expression of emotion than I do. I'm, at least by upbringing, I was so much more contained in my expression of emotion. So when she would express her emotions, to me, that would look like, whoa, totally overwhelming, and I would want to just get out of there. And that's a big mistake. Really, I took it on as a challenge to train myself to be able to handle more emotionality myself. It was good for me too. It's not just a service project for her. And it really does serve her. It has her feel held, or another way to say that, it has her feel not alone. Another way you can help her to feel held is you take care of things around your house or wherever living situation you're in. Actually, whether you live together or not, because this could be at her house, but if you live together, it'd be y'all's house. Just take care of little things that are broken. If the gutter is leaking, fix it. The light bulb is out, replace it. If, the faucet is dripping, repair it. Like little everyday things like that might sound like no big deal, they add up to a pretty big deal, and they help this experience of her feeling held and safe. And from a selfish point of view, speaking from the man's point of view, if I was to take a selfish perspective on that, when she feels held and safe with me, then my life is so much better because she loves me more. She's more happy in general. The mood in the house is lighter. I have more sex. I have more love. I have more great conversations. Everything is better. You are listening to the Dare to Love podcast with your hosts, Sonica Tinker and Christian Peterson, founders of LoveWorks. Another thing you can do is just do things for her, things that she would appreciate getting done. Maybe it's stuff that she hasn't gotten off her list yet. You just go ahead and do it. If she's been wanting to move a couch forever and it just hasn't happened yet for whatever reason, you go move the couch. Like little things like that really work. And another thing that I do, which is in the, you might call that in the chivalry department, but I mean it as a way of service and a way of saying, I see you, I notice you when you are here, is when I see Sonica's car come into our driveway, I get out of my chair and I walk out the door and I walk out to greet her in the driveway. And she loves that. And I never started that because she loves it. I just wanted to. And I found out later that, wow, that she appreciates that so much when I greet her out there and help carry her bags or whatever she might be bringing home. Fourth thing I want to share is a really big deal. We hear this from pretty much every woman we've ever talked to, is don't take stuff personally. You can help her out so much and make her love you so much if you will not take her emotions and her expressions and her moods personally. One of the qualities that women consistently tell us they love in their partner is the ability for you to be with her, be present with her while she's having feelings, whether it's happy, sad, scared, hurt, ecstatic. Like I mentioned before, I used to get scared of emotionality like that. But when I can be with her without taking it personally, that means I'm not making it a statement about me. And I used to do this. I totally used to do this. When I judged that my partner was mad about something, I'd immediately think it was because I had done something wrong. And I'd immediately want to fix that situation because I didn't like being in that position. So I would either start to defend or go away altogether or suggest a million different solutions, all of which doesn't allow her to simply have her experience. And, I know for a lot of men, this might be, sure, we know that material, but I know for a fact from the people who come to us that for a lot of us, it's not no-brainer material at all. We have a genuine desire to help and to fix. And the other part is that we often get afraid of all these emotions, or we want to make it go away, and hence we try to fix and fix and fix. But 9 times out of 10, there's no fixing required. All that's required is for you to simply be there with her. And I have yet to meet a woman who didn't love that about her man, if he could be there without making it about himself. The fifth thing I want to say is to pay attention, to be tuned into. There is even a word for that now called attunement. And I'll give you an example, actually, from a couple who did our mastery program. We had a conversation with them at the tail end of their mastery program. And one of the things they shared that they did really differently now was this example. So she came home one night to their home and she was feeling bad. She didn't want to talk. She just actually went straight to bed. And the man who was telling me this story said, well, in the past, I would have taken this action very personally. I would have concluded by her going to bed and not talking that she was rejecting me, that she was deliberately not wanting my company, that it was a statement about how my company was unwanted and I was unwanted. But this time, he said, what I did differently is I didn't take it personally. I was just able to, by not doing that, I was able to stay calm. My mind was still clear. I asked her if she wanted some tea. She said no, but I still made her some and just put it on the bedside table next to her and walked away. That is a great example of being tuned into. And, he's listening to a deeper desire in her, which is, give me my space, but it's not leave me and abandon me altogether. You can bet that she appreciated, and actually she was there, so she confirmed this, that she totally appreciated the care and attention that went into him being aware enough of her where she was to still reach out and say, I love you, I'm here for you, here's a cup of tea, and back off, because that is what she really wanted him to do. Now, I know in a situation like this, when she says, I don't want a cup of tea, and he makes her one anyways, you might interpret that as not listening to her because she said no, right? Well, in this case, and she confirmed that, like I mentioned, it is really more of an example of being in tune with something that's deeper than the first sentence she says. So he still hears her desire for comfort and love, and he gave her space. Great example for being in attunement. And another thing to pay attention is, like I mentioned before, is just notice how she appears in front of you today. Notice what color she's wearing. You can bet a lot of thought went into matching the earrings with the color of her shoes or the color of her purse or how her hair is. You can bet a lot of attention went into that, so pay attention to it so that one day you'll notice she's different. She doesn't wear the same earrings every day. She doesn't wear the same necklace every day, and for a good reason. It gives a lot of juicy mojo in your relationship when you pay attention to little details like that. Number 6 I want to share is to be helpful. Now, again, for some, this might be old news, but I can't tell you from how many women we still hear the ongoing complaint that their boyfriend or husband is like having another kid around. And trust me when I say you do not want your woman to see you, to look upon you as another kid around. It's bad for your relationship. It's bad for your mutual respect as adults. And it's very bad for your sex life. If your wife or girlfriend has the experience that, the stereotype is a guy who just lays around in the couch with the remote control all day and never cleans anything up. I'm not saying that's you, but that's a stereotypical situation. A man like that, she is not going to want to be intimate with or have sex with because, when you're an adult woman, you don't have sex with another kid around. You have sex with the man who is your partner or husband or boyfriend or mate or lover, not another kid around. So it is terribly eroding for basically everything that's good in your relationship if you end up playing that role. And I want to say, if you're someone who lives with your woman partner, it's actually more than just being helpful. That's not actually really, that's a good way to start the conversation, but it's more than that. It's a matter of considering all the tasks that need to be done around your home as your job just as much as hers. It's your job just as much as hers that you live in a nice space, that you have clean clothes, that you have food on the table, that you so on and so forth. Of course, you're going to share the tasks of everyday life and of your household as you wish, but make sure it's an equal share or that you at least both. It's not to say you should all do the same thing. It's not to say you should both do an equal number of loads of laundry. It's not like that. But you definitely want to make sure that it feels like a fair thing, or that you can both be happy with it, so to speak. If you are happy with it and she's kind of grumbling about it, then it's not a good split. then you're not both happy with it. Whether it's cooking, cleaning, laundry, lawn mowing, whatever it is, like the goodwill you will harvest and the respect you will harvest by considering the chores yours as well as hers, and for you to do your parts without being prompted. Oh man, there's no end to the good stuff that'll come from that. And make sure you don't end up in a situation where she's prompting you all the time. Granted, I know there's certainly her piece of personal work to do inside of that if that's a situation. But if it genuinely is because you need prompting to do, whatever, to participate in shopping or putting your goddamn socks away or whatever it is, just like make sure you do that without having to be prompted all the time, because it totally erodes sexuality between you, respect between you, and the power dynamics between you get all messed up by that. Number 7 I want to share is to take initiative. You initiate activities. Simple stuff like you initiate go to the movies. You initiate go out for dinner. Again, for some, yeah, sure, you just do that. For others, it doesn't even occur to you. And if that's the case, it would be really good to have that occur to you. It's a great way to make your partner happy. Particularly is take some initiative around something that pertains directly to your relationship. Buy a relationship book and say, hey, I found this book. It looks really interesting. How about we read it together? Make sure you have date nights or sweet times together. In the vast majority of relationships, it is still the woman who takes the lead around everything relationship. One way we can see this is in a couple, who is the one to reach out for relationship coaching, or who is the one to take the initiative to come to a relationship weekend workshop. Now, it's definitely changing so that now more and more men do take on that role, which is really awesome to see. And, these are not numbers that I'm tracking exactly, but based on our some 10 years of offering workshops and coaching, I'd make a guesstimate that about 75% of the time it is still the woman in a relationship that takes the initiative. And if she is the one in your relationship to always initiate date nights or relationship workshops or movie nights or getaways or whatever it is, it's really easy for her to feel that she is carrying all of the weight alone by herself, which again breeds resentment and not connection. So it's also taking an initiative like that is also part of the creating the experience of her being held, which makes it so much easier for her to just be happy. So one thing you can do is to take initiative, start something, arrange a getaway, buy a ticket for a weekend workshop, or like I said, buy a book or an online course and say, hey, this video on YouTube, even if it's a 5-minute thing, looks really cool. These two are talking about how to communicate better. Want to watch it with me? Simple thing. The number 8 tip I want to give you is to play. Play with her. Play, period. Now, if you're a man who's anything like me, you know that you can sometimes be quite serious and somber and all about getting business done. Like I know for me, left to my own devices, I don't really play all that much. I don't think too much about having fun. Having fun and playing is not one of the values I reach for in life. That does not mean I don't love it or enjoy it. Enjoy playing and having fun. It's just that if I don't put conscious attention on it, my attention is all about taking care of business, and I'll end up just working, and forget about playing altogether. I really do. So one of the things that makes Sonica so happy is when we play together, do fun things, go watch a comedy or go to a comedy club, or lately we've been taking line dancing classes. Actually, Sonica is going to a line dance. I haven't been able to do it myself so much because of my back's been all out and stuff, but I have begun going the few times I have been able to. So I just go with her when I can, and it's so fun. I played with her on her birthday here. We all did one of the line dances we had learned. We all did it at the birthday party. So we all did it in our house, and it was so fun. So dancing is a way of playing that. It could be playing sports. It could be jumping around. We play around in our swimming pool. We play volleyball on the grass or badminton. It doesn't matter what or how you do it, just that you do it, and you make sure that the energy of play and fun is kept alive and infused into your relationship. And, I'm saying this in the spirit of making her happy, which it totally will. Actually, it's one of the things that has a ginormous ROI, so to speak. If for me to just play and dance a little bit, it just makes her so happy. When she's happy, my life is definitely in a happier place. So however you do that, make sure that remains a part of your relationship. And if you're someone like me who doesn't naturally do it much, it might take a little effort, and it might be a little bit of a challenge and a little scary even to initiate something like that. But it's really great when you do. All right. Those were a lot of different tips here, 8 of them so far. And I want to give you one final tip or insight for today. And that is to be accountable with your word and with your time. Now, we could easily do a couple of whole podcasts on accountability and integrity and how we are with our word and our time as men in this case. But in short, it translates to just doing what you say you'll be doing. Showing up when and where you said you'd be showing up. Participating in your relationship in the ways you say you will participate. And it's down to the smallest stuff. If you say, I'll get the leaking gutter fixed, to use an example from before, then tell her when you'll be fixing it and then actually do it. Don't make agreements you can't keep. Now, I know for a lot of us that it doesn't necessarily mean anything. When I say, don't worry about the leaking gutter, I'll take care of it. I got it. I'll fix it. Because in my mind, I really will. But it's not exactly at the top of my list, and there's a whole other bunch of stuff that need to be taken care of sooner than that, or I get distracted, and I kind of forget about it. But in my mind, it's not like a active fire that needs to be put out. It doesn't matter if it gets fixed now or next month. But the thing is, with all those little things add up to give her the image of you as someone who doesn't do what you say you will do, and that is not a good situation for the respect that exists between you. At least, I can certainly speak for myself in saying I would rather have her respect and trust me than think, whenever he says he'll do stuff, it may or may not get done. You'll never know. It erodes trust, even though it's those little everyday things. It makes a little breach of trust every time I say I'll take care of something, but I don't. So a really simple thing to do is to just only agree to the things and only say I will do these things if I will do them. So, it's okay if I can't fix the leaky gutter today or this week, but then I won't say I'm fixing it this week or tomorrow. I'll say, I don't have time to do that over the next month. Could you be okay with me? I'll take care of it next month. Or we could call somebody and they can fix it. Or, come up with a different way that keeps you being accountable to what you said you were going to do, and that doesn't make these little breaches of trust. And granted, it's not like having an affair or stealing money or something. I get that. But it's like a hairline crack in a piece of metal that if you live together for years and there's a lot of those hairline cracks that, they begin to add up to be real cracks and real breaches of trust. Another typical everyday example is saying, I'll meet you there and there at this and that time. Or, I'll see you there and there. But if I'm not there and I don't tell her why I'm not, it's again one of those things where you might think, it's not that big of a deal, but it does turn into a big deal. It's like if you're not there at that time, it raises a little alarm bell or a little flag in the back of her mind that says something like, okay, great. He didn't show up today. Is he going to show up next time? Or what about when it really counts? When something really important is happening? Then will he be there? And really, the experience of being held for her and creating a relationship that feels tight and solid and secure and that you can trust and you can lean on is built by all these little steps of trust making. And you doing what you say you will do, or being at the times you say you will be, and if you can't, to clean it up in advance, that goes a long ways to create that kind of trust. And trust, when she is inside a container or a relationship of trust, it makes her happy. Happiness is then easily forthcoming and easily accessible. So that is all I will add for today. That should be enough to go practice some new stuff and to think about. Like I said in the beginning, some of the actions and tips I've shared here today for how to make her happy might sound very simple, so that when you hear them, you might go, oh yeah, that's easy, I know that. But the real question is, are you doing it? Are you actually doing that? There's a very simple method you can answer that question. You could just look at the woman you are in a relationship with and ask yourself, is she happy? Is she happy with me? Are we happy? Are we happy with each other? And yes, I know, of course, her happiness depends on all kinds of factors that are her sole responsibility, that have nothing to do with you. Absolutely. Also, though, make no mistake that you as her partner can play a very big role in making her happiness easy and abundant, or difficult or elusive. And I, for one, I certainly I want a happy partner. I feel good when I can do anything that makes my wife happy, and my life is better when we're happy. So I constantly go for wanting to know what are those things I can do. I like easy success tips that I know will produce a good result. Hence, I'm offering these to you, and in the hopes that it will be useful and it would help you grow yourself and provide lots of happiness for her and for you. So thanks for being with me here today. Have fun practicing all that, and I'll see you on the next episode. You have been listening to the Dare to Love podcast with Sonika Tinker and Christian Peterson, co-founders of LoveWorks. And hey, if you found this podcast to be valuable, would you hit the share button and go ahead and share this with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever your favorite hangouts are. Thanks so much for sharing the love.